Let us forget fights and grudges and concentrate. Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together. Oh, yeah, yeah.
So come, my brother, come, my sister, let us work hand in hand to build a better nation. We want Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique to be transformed, but we must work towards it. I want to welcome you to this segment in the program. I want to encourage the folks on Facebook and YouTube to please share the live. Sharing is caring. I want to start off this morning by saying more and more people are realizing that the NNP is way too negative, that they cannot see anything good happening in this place. All they can do is to condemn. All they can do is to attack, or be negative. So more and more people are seen through them, which is great, fantastic. And I expected such a thing to take place over time. So they continue to attack. Morning. So they continue to attack so many of the programs, projects of the government. But what we have seen in the last, couple of days is a continuous attack on this asphalt plant and company, not just by certain individuals within the political arena, but by pundits who support them, who push certain agendas. So Grenadians are saying, but why? Why you all are attacking this particular company? Why? What is the reason behind it? Why we are hearing you saying you're concerned about this and concerned about that? And why? Why now? Because you have two asphalt plants in pretty much the same area or not far apart, right? You just bend one corner and the other one will appear before you, or you will see the other one. So I'm saying, why are you attacking just this particular one? What is so different about it? But on a different note or subject matter, we have seen in the news this false or misleading a piece where you have certain people saying, well, look, there is some issue here with this particular asphalt plant, with monies and payments when it comes to government and when it comes to, the truckers or the truck men and so on. And then the same company had to come out and say, no, this is not the case. This is not true. But you have to understand how this whole thing started, right? That is important. So you're seeing the attacks, you're hearing the attacks, you're seeing the news items, and it's pretty much the same media outfit talking about these things. And you have to ask yourself, why? Why is this same media outfit over and over and over talking about these things? So most people under the post said, but why are you so negative? Why you're attacking this company like this, right? So this is what we heard in recent times, right? Recent piece.
Past few weeks, reports suggested that Reno Construction and Industrial Products had placed asphalt supplies for government projects on hold because of outstanding payments. The claims drew comparisons to a previous situation involving Consolidated Contractors Company Caribbean Inc., which had also halted asphalt supply in the past over payment concerns. However, project manager Sunil Pal says there have been no delay in payment. He explained that asphalt has been supplied in increments based on the needs of ongoing government work.
The process it works is they send a request of the asphalt, we send them a quotation, and from there they send a purchase order, we supply the material. Once the material is supplied, we send them a bill, and after that they send a payment to our account. As of now, I can definitely tell you that we gotten many checks from the ministry for the asphalt, because we supplying in pieces. It's not like something we have a certain quantity fixed that we supplying. So once we supply them like 500 ton or something, we send a bill to them, and it is in a process of payment. I don't find there is any delay in the payment.
Pal confirmed that a government asphalt order was
Right. So you heard from Reno Construction, right? Making it clear that there is no delay, no payments. But these stories would be cooked up, concocted, and then the media, this particular media outfit, would do a story about these things. And you wonder, well, why?
temporarily placed on hold, but said the decision was linked to weather conditions rather than payment issues.
Yes, we have not supplied them for a couple of weeks, but we still have outstanding order. We have not completed all the orders which we got, and we have not gotten any information that they stop and they're not taking the asphalt. It's because the weather condition, they probably cannot use us. You cannot use asphalt in the rain. For sure, you have to wait for the dry time. It's not only the time you paving, it don't have to be rain. It's because the base have to be dry for you to process the asphalt layer on it. It must have to be.
So you see, it's sad when a company has to come out and respond to all of this misinformation. But you have to understand where this misinformation is coming from. So you have to go back in time, and you would realize why they're attacking Reno. Because they're not stupid. They know that Reno is a good company. Reno is tried and tested regionally, and they have the resources required to do the job and be paid thereafter. It's not like other companies where you have to give them mobilization, you have to give them payments up front and all of these things. Reno has the potential to build the thing, to do the thing, and then receive payments, which is fantastic. So you have to understand that. But here it is. So firstly, when the plant was about to be, set up, we heard from this side and that side that they're going to take legal action and that they're going to stop the asphalt plant from going up in the Woodford area.
Better material they getting from.
And then we heard from this individual who started, well, he was called a truckman, I think. Maybe he's in the trucking business. He came up with this story. And then people say, but wait, why? Why are you talking about this in this manner? right? And then we heard from Keith.
Reno Construction and
And-
Industrial Products was introduced to Grenada in 2022 under the then New National Party administration led by Dr. Keith Mitchell. While the former Prime Minister maintains that there is no issue with the company operating in Grenada, he noted that concerns became evident when plans move ahead for the construction of the Bouchajou plant, which residents say has negatively impacted their community.
I thought it was rather strange that you have a major development activity in an area where close to where people live, and you have a parliamentary representative who has been there over 42 years. And it is well known of the level of support and information and of course influence I have in the community.
The New National Party candidate for the constituency, Dr. Adrian Joseph, told MTV News the matter should not be viewed as a political maneuver, but rather as a response to genuine concerns being expressed by residents within the community.
Yeah, so you had these political people. Keith Mitchell, I think he is the member of parliament for St. George Northwest. And then you have Adrian Joseph, who is the NNP, either caretaker or candidate in that constituency. And you ask yourself, but why are they talking when you have another asphalt plant in that same constituency or in that constituency? Because in reality, the asphalt plant is on the St. John side. The new one is on the St. John side and not St. George Northwest, if you're looking at the boundary, all right? But they're very close. It's like at the border, very close. You have two. But why are they so affixed, or why are they so fixated on this particular one? Reno. Why? And the asphalt plant continues to produce, continues to deliver in a big way. But not just the asphalt plant, Reno altogether. Reno in action.
It's a nice Saturday morning in Grenada. We're at the asphalt plant, ready to produce asphalt for the government of Grenada. It's now 6:24 a.m. and as you can see, we have all the trucks lined up. Normally we have about 60-something trucks. Today we have 46 trucks lined up and awaiting asphalt. We've started the operation, so by 6:30 the first truck should be loaded and out of there. The drivers, the government workers, the contractors, and general people of Grenada are very happy with getting the roads repaired, at least temporarily, because many potholes are being repaired. The truckers and the contractors who put down the asphalt, they are able to get the asphalt very early, and by 1 o'clock, they are out of there.
Okay, so Reno is providing the asphalt. And look at the amount of trucks lined up. You're talking about employment. You're talking about the truckmen and their families benefiting from all of this. And previously, we had one asphalt plant. One asphalt plant. They had the monopoly. They controlled the show. Whatever they say goes. And trucks will spend a long time waiting. All right? But the NDC administration is not stupid. They're not stupid. They observe, they noted all the complaints, and then they acted on it by getting this second asphalt plant, not far from the old one, not far from it at all, but it's on the St. John side. not on the St. George Northwest side. So when Keith Mitchell spoke there and Adrian Joseph, spoke there, it's not on their side. But we know why they're speaking. And we know why it's just Reno. We know this is not by accident. Don't fool yourself. So there is a asphalt plant in Keith Mitchell's constituency. And that has been there for donkey years. And now you have one in Kireen James constituency. That's on the St. John side. Once you cross that bridge, that's St. John. But you know the usual thing, Keith Mitchell, he wants to be heard, he wants to be relevant. Then Adrian Joseph at the time, they want to be in the limelight. But we know their agenda. That is very, very clear. So you have to understand why we are seeing all of this reporting from MTV. And come on, you would make a story out of something that's, misleading from day one. It's false, right? But again, I'm happy that they did that story because it proved that all of this rumor mongering, all of these lies, they're being exposed because people are cooking up those lies, concocting those stories, throwing it out there, and then the media, they grab it, or if not the media, most of those NNP supporters, and they start spreading these things. But I'm happy that the media, yes, in this case MTV, they did the story, and then people started saying, but wait, why always Reno? Why you're attacking? Why those pundits and surrogates of NNP continue to attack Reno? Let me tell you this. I said from day one, the NNP do not want to see many of our roads fixed, in my belief. I said so from day one. I believe they don't want to see the roads fixed, and they want the people to start talking and getting angry. Because remember, you have 60,000, 68,000, 69,000 or so, it might be even more, vehicles on our roads. So the impact will be felt if you fix the roads. Once the roads are fixed, the impact will be felt instantly. So they know that. And the mere fact that the NDC is fixing our roads, they're getting our roads fixed, they will have a problem with that. And not just our roads, The NNP pundits and surrogates, they have a problem with the St. David Catholic Secondary School being built by Reno. They have a problem with the Mabuya Road being built by Reno. They have a problem with the Willis Constantine Road being built by Reno. They have a problem with the Sobeys CD fence there being constructed by Reno. They have a problem with the Reno asphalt plant and all of our roads being fixed. Come on. Why? Why are you so obsessed with Reno construction? Because Reno delivers. That's the point, Reno delivers. So we have the Mabuya land slippage, that project going on right.
The name is Renu Kajada, Managing Director of the RG Group of Companies. We are here on the Mabuya landslip area, which was originally a road that was closed for a very long time because of a landslip further back. What you're seeing here is a culvert which later on failed, and that happened way after the design was done. After the design, it took quite some time before they took on a contractor. So we had additional work because we had an additional failure and made the road impassable. We have approached to do this first while we did some of the retaining structures along this end of the road, the southern end of the road. And next week, we will go on to the main landslide where we're going to start the excavation for us to start the filling of it. While we're doing this road, we're going to take in consideration a realignment because the road is up and down and some curves. Especially in this area where we are, you can see the road originally went down and came back up. So we are going to raise the level significantly.
Right, so that's the Mabuya land slippage project on the western side, St. John, progressing nicely. Remember that particular road was closed for 19 years, 20 years, because the NNP administration never saw the need to fix that piece of road. In other words, they could have cared less. They just diverted traffic up to Mount Nesbitt, Douglaston, and into Gove. So they just abandoned that piece of main road.
My name is Reno Kajada, Managing Director of the Reno Construction Group of Companies. Today we are on the Willis Road. It's actually Willis Constantine because it's actually two roads joining each other. We've been awarded this project and we've started about 3 weeks ago for us to get it moving. The weather is great. The residents have been very cooperative, understanding what we are doing. So most of the times we'll have to close the road and it will cause some inconvenience, but that too we are very satisfied with. I also think they are happy with the progress of works, what we have done and how we are doing it. A couple of big retaining structures that we need to put up. As we take a little walk down, you will see what it is. But we have some massive cuts, which is on the hillside, and we have some big walls on the lower side. That will make a significant improvement with the roads because the corners there are really, really tight. By the time we've done, a 40-foot trailer should be able to make it through to the bottom end. However, on the Constantine end, it's a lot more difficult because there are houses there and it may not be as easy because of how close the houses are. But we will do whatever we can in terms of drilling and slabbing the existing drains.
Yeah, so that project is well advanced, the Willis and Constantine Road project, and it looks really good, right? So you have the Mabuya, you have the Willis Constantine project, then you have the St. David Catholic Secondary School, which is also well advanced, and Reno is doing that too.
Okay, we have a three building. Back to us is building number 1, and this one is building number 2, and in front of us is building number 3. So as building number 1 and building number 2 is a 3-story building, we are already working on the second floor. We have one more floor balance for these two buildings. Building number 3 is 2-story. We are already working on the second floor. As of today, the work has been done almost 30%. Which is ahead of what we supposed to be.
Yeah, and they are far more than 30% now. But I'm showing you this to say to you that Reno has always delivered, and they would get the job done before the deadline, way before the deadline. They have the manpower, and even if they don't have it here, they would source it. They have the human resource, right? And they have the materials, they have the money. They can get the job done. They are different. And that is what is unique. Then they have the Soubise project and a number of other projects. But they're capable. That same Molyneux Road project, again, Reno. So I'm saying you can expect the NNP pundits and surrogates and all of these people to attack the Reno construction, right? Or attack Reno, that company. They would say all kinds of stuff. They would come up with all kinds of lies, all kinds of misinformation. Because really and truly, they don't want to see development take place. Those NNP pundits and surrogates and all these people, they don't want to see development happen for Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. So any company that the government engages to do work, to get the job done, man, expect them to attack. Expect them to say all kinds of stuff about that company. But I'm happy, I'm extremely happy to see the company continuing and doing even better than expected in Grenada, with all the attacks and all the bad mouthing, all the bad things. But their PR is really good, and they need to keep it up. Getting the information out there, getting the truth out there, not being afraid to engage the media or to tell the public what is going down and giving an update from time to time. And I love that. But I'm saying to you, the NNP pundits and surrogates and all of these people, they don't want our roads to be fixed. They don't want these major projects to happen in Grenada. They don't want it to happen. So as a result, you can expect them to attack. And you know what is amazing? You have 2 asphalt plants, very close in terms of location. One of the other asphalt plant, you have a brother of a politician who was associated with, or maybe still, I don't know if he's still associated with the New National Party. But at the time, he was associated, right, with the New National Party as a minister of government. So the brother of that individual was associated with the New National Party and the New National Party administration. And then you see some of these pundits and surrogates of the NNP coming out and say certain things. And then people would then sit down and say, but why are they talking like this? Why are they saying X or saying Y? You see? But I'm saying, folks, we had a monopoly, more or less a monopoly in Grenada when it comes to asphalt production and so on. That no longer exists. And then you have a third asphalt plant to be set up at that old location. With, you know, the Chinese had an asphalt plant set up during a particular time to do a project. So I think the airport expansion project. Now you have another company who will be doing the road from the airport all the way up to Westerhall Point. And I think they will be doing another parcel of road or 2. So quite a number of projects to start off soon. Some already started, some to start off very soon. So we would have 3 asphalt plants. We would have 3 asphalt plants. But more or less at a time, there was a monopoly. 1 asphalt plant on an island to supply government and to supply private sector companies who are doing jobs and so on. And it just was not enough. So now you have competition and it's healthy. And you have Renault who could actually supply you and wait for payments. So the roads could be fixed. Projects could take place. So I don't know why the pundits and surrogates of the NNP out there with the negativity, out there with, you know, all the hate, all the bitterness. And what is amazing, Renault came here under the NNP. Renault first came here under the NNP government. So why are they so upset? Why are they so uptight? Why are they so bitter? Because this government was able to engage them in a meaningful way and they're seeing real results. Why? And that is why you hear them talking about we have not seen major projects in 4 years and not one major, but all of these major projects that we are seeing in this country. Because you see, to the NNP, major projects is some hotel going up somewhere. That is what they see as a major project. And they would come and they would sell that to the Grenadian electorate. Under the Keith Mitchell-led administration, every time around election, he would come more so and talk about some hotel. And mind you, if you calculate the amount of people getting employment during the construction phase of hotel, it's almost the amount of people getting work when you're constructing a school like the St. David Catholic Secondary School or the Grenada Christian Academy School or the St. Andrew Anglican Primary School. It's on par, almost the amount of people. When it's operational, then you would have more people working at the hotel, because for the school, it's usual teachers and that kind of stuff. But they're all considered to be major projects. And how many hotels can we have in this place? Think about it. You have a massive hotel project taking place in Livera. You know, during the NNP campaign, when they spoke, some people thought that, well, if NDC comes into power, then some of these hotel projects will stop, or those investors will pack and leave. But look at it. The Livera project, that continues, and it's going nicely up there at Livera. Intercontinental at, in St. David, the Lasso Just area, that project continues. Not Silver Sands, Six Senses, the expansion and that kind of stuff, that continues. Nothing stopped. Nothing. All those projects continue. And then very soon you would see where the hotel where Flamboyant once stood. I think it's Kiwana Bay Resort, something of that sort. But because the government now owns that hotel, the lands and that kind of thing, I don't know if they actually was able to sell it to another investor or developer. But I'm saying very soon that hotel project will recommence, right? Or will start back again, simply put. And folks will get jobs and opportunities there. But then you have some smaller guest houses and, buildings going up with quite a number of rooms. And so there are opportunities, jobs are being created. And then you have a lot of houses being constructed throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. And then you have Chublo Bay going to Carriacou to build a hotel in Carriacou. And there's another hotel that intends to build in Carriacou too. So I'm saying, look, the NNP, surrogates, pundits, and all of these people, they are too negative. They're too bitter. And if you love Grenada and you want good for Grenada, you cannot be too negative. You just can't. There are good things happening in this place. Acknowledge it. Talk about it too. Praise it. Applaud it. Nothing is wrong with you highlighting inefficiencies, highlighting weaknesses, highlighting, certain bad aspects of things. Nothing is wrong with that. But you must also highlight the good things that are happening in the country. You have to highlight the good things too. Since the NNP been in opposition and the NDC came into power, those NNP pundits and surrogates, they have been just at it. Negative, negative, negative. And then you see some of the people on the NNP platform itself being just negative, 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 and I told you from day one that we have to become more positive. And we have become very positive, highlighting the positive things that are happening in our country. Because you have to understand the electorate and the evolution of our electorate. They're not the same. They have evolved over time. People are more knowledgeable. People are following current affairs more. People want good for Grenada. People just, they're not interested in the Keith type of politics. That's a thing of the past, and it's different now. People have access to information. They have plenty devices that they can access information from. Our people are going to extra classes. They have access to tertiary level institutions and education, because the government made it free when it comes to tuition and so on. Then you have people who have, young people, they have access to universal education at the secondary school level and then at the tertiary level. So more and more people have access to information, and they're smarter, they're more intelligent. And that is why I was saying to a friend yesterday, NNP's greatest problem is the fact that they have a leader who is not on par with our beloved Prime Minister in terms of intelligence, in terms of brilliance, in terms of vision. Because if you put Emlyn Pay here and you put the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell here, she pales in comparison. She cannot be compared to him. She's not that intelligent to even match our beloved Prime Minister. And because the electorate has evolved and our people are smarter, brighter, more intelligent, more clever, following current affairs, have access to information and so on, the same Keith Mitchell playbook that she's using is not working. It's not working. Our beloved Prime Minister is doing a fantastic job. And he's very statesmanlike and very intelligent. He can stand on his own feet and speak to issues. And he has a vision for Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. And NDC never stopped working. The minute time they got into office, they started working and they never stopped. Never. So NNP biggest problem is the fact that you have Emlyn Pay, who is not too intelligent or too bright. And when she speaks, you get that. It comes out plainly. It's obvious. So you have two leaders, right? And people are evaluating both of them. Emlyn is just yap, 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 yap. Misconcerned. I'm seriously concerned. I am very concerned. I am gravely concerned. It's just concern. She lacks substance and depth. So Grenadians are able to evaluate and assess that. And then you have NNP staging stuff. So they have these little meetings around the place. And it's obvious they're trying to project an image, but it's not working. They're then coming back and confess to say, well, look at what we are doing. But Grenadians already know that these things are pretty much staged, where they're trying to give the impression that they're able to attract people from all sides and of different political affiliation and so on, based on color and based on what, but people know that their meetings are really NNP people going to those meetings. The majority of their meetings are NNP supporters. They are not able to attract new people, so they have to confess.
Last episode, I received some feedback. They said, Dylan.
Right, and folks, do you know this guy? This is the same lawyer for this individual, right? Same lawyer. You hear Dillon? Same lawyer. You remember I spoke about this name, this Dillon Charles, right? Same guy, right? But the guy, to me, not so what they say he is. Look at the guy. You realize he doesn't have depth, right? Poor little fella.
Last episode, I received some feedback. They said, Dylan, gosh man, if you want people to come to this thing, it can't be seen everybody wearing green. Get some people to wear neutral colors. So I said, you know what? I spoke to the political leader. I said, let's try and wear neutral colors and let some people wear green still. She came in brown, I came in black.
Right, so you could see that these things are staged and they're confessing. And if this guy had political tact, he would not have come and said this thing at all. No. Yes, you go ahead and you do what you have to do behind the scenes, and you don't talk about these things in public, because then people just conclude that it's a bunch of NNP in a room, and some you ask them to wear yellow or wear some different color and make a show. So it's a stage thing. The guy does not have tact or political experience, one, in my belief, to know that you don't go out there and say those things. No, you could do it, but you don't go and say those things. But we all know that the NNP is not able to attract new people. They're not. And that is why you have the two candidates for the NNP out there in St. Patrick giving away cucumbers, right? What next will you give away or try to give people? Nothing is wrong with that, but I hope you can continue to give and give and give and give, because all these things are show. It's for a show. They believe that people are stupid. Grenadians cannot live on cucumbers only. No, you have to do more than that. But election is not far away. Election is not far away, so expect them to try to give people this and give just in the moment. In the moment, but Grenadians are not stupid. That was a thing of the past. You could have catch people easily by giving them cucumbers and hampers. I remember I spoke about Alvin Dabrio giving out hampers and so on. So after that bag of food stuff or items finish, would you go back and give them another one and another one and another one? What you need to do is to create opportunities for people so that they can feed themselves. So you don't have to go and give them food hampers or give them some cucumbers. And come on, cucumbers are fairly cheap in the context of things, and with all the rain that fell, people have a lot. It's fairly cheap, right? $5, $6, and you get a whole pile of that thing. $10 worth. It can last for, fairly cheap. But I'm saying that's a thing of the past, before they could have easily catch people with that. That's old-time politics. Grenadians want something more sustainable. And that is what they're getting. Jobs and opportunities. They're working. And folks who retire, they're getting their pension and their gratuity now. They could take care of themselves. Opportunities are being created for the young people too. So this old-time politics is not working. But I'm saying this guy, I think he's the general secretary of the New National Party. But he doesn't have what it takes to really cause you to want to listen. Right? Poor fella. In the political arena, he's a nobody, in my belief. But that is what NP, the New National Party, has gone to and come to. It's really sad. It is really, really sad. But in politics, sometimes you have to hold your tongue. Certain things you don't go out in the public and say. Certain things you could deal with behind the scenes and not go out and say those things, because everything is recorded these days. Everything is recorded these days. When you're on a platform, you're being recorded, and it goes on the internet. So people who listening in, they're going to hear you. So you have to be careful. But NNP is a dying breed, in my belief. NNP is a dying breed. NNP reminds me of the GULP when Sir Eric Matthew Geary passed away. May his soul rest in peace. I think it was in 1995, 1996, 1997, somewhere around there when he passed away. And he was buried in the Center Cemetery. His funeral service was held at the Grenada Trade Center. Yeah, I actually attended that funeral service, the Grenada Trade Center, and then he was buried at the Center Cemetery in St. George's, right? And then the GULP just start going down and down and down. That is what the NNP reminds me of, the GULP. So they're fighting for relevance, and they're not getting it. They're not getting it because Grenadians realize that the NDC is genuine. The NDC is serious about transforming this place, making this place better, step by step by step. So the NNP pundits and surrogates and goons and zygotes and sycophants attacking Renault Construction or the company Renault, it's not working. Them coming up with all kind of stories and all kind of misinformation, it's not working because Grenadians are pleased with what Renault is doing. And other companies, and let me tell you this, the reason why they're attacking those companies is because the NDC has been able to negotiate successfully so with those companies to say, hey, do the work and we're going to pay you after. Bill, do the project. So this school, bill it with your resources and we are going to pay you after. That is the problem those goons, pundits, surrogates of the NNP have. Because they thought that the government would have to find all of these monies to pay up front and to pay as the project continue, right? As the projects continue. They were thinking along that line, but the government doesn't have to do that. The company signs the contract and they get all the everything that is required. The workers, pay the workers, the material, everything, and deliver the project. Get the job done, and we are going to pay you. The government going to pay you after you complete the project. So they were shocked that the NDC administration was able to successfully get that type of arrangement in place to deliver. Because I remember during Keith Mitchell time, he was talking about a bolt system. Something where the company would bill and then the government would have a lease agreement, something like that in place. Right? I think he called it a bolt system where the company would construct, let's say, the prison complex or the Prime Minister's residence or the police headquarters, he lists some projects, a bolt system. I think he called it that, where they build and then the government doesn't have to pay them for building it up front, but the government then comes back and lease. So they pay a lease, and then they pay for building it over a period of time. Something like that, I think. But the NDC has this agreement in place where the companies will build or deliver the project, get the project done with their resources, and then the government of Grenada will pay them. I love that. I really do. So the NNP administration, well, the NNP party, they're surprised. And then the surrogates and pundits, they're pissed because they wanted, those surrogates and pundits of NNP, many of them, they want bad things to befall this country, in my belief. They don't want the NDC administration to be able to deliver and get the job done and create opportunities and so on for our people. They don't want that to happen. But they cannot stop it because that's happening. Jobs are being created, opportunities are being created. Because you speak to those contractors, they want workers. They're asking for workers. Over and over, they're saying, we need more workers, we need more workers, we need more workers. So jobs and opportunities are being created for our people. And we have to be proud of that. We have to be really happy about that. And Renault, that company, is a regional company. They've worked in St. Lucia. They continue to work in St. Lucia. Dominic, all the other countries, they've been doing a fantastic job out there developing the infrastructure of countries or the islands. They've been doing a wonderful job. So I'm happy. I'm happy. And thanks to the most honorable Deacon Mitchell, our beloved Prime Minister. He has been able to negotiate. He has been able to bring back companies into this country to deliver. Because Renault is not new. Renault came here under the NNP. But it's just that they were not so engaged to do plenty jobs and projects and so on. But the NDC was able to get them to that place where they can do a lot of the major projects in this country and forge a really good relationship with them. So we are getting results. But we have to thank our beloved Prime Minister. He's a good negotiator. He's smart. And he's working with a vision. He's not whooping. No, he's not. So again, let us continue to remain focused. Let us continue to help develop this place in whatever way we can. The NNP, they will continue to be negative. They're going to continue to attack this and attack that and talk about all kinds of other stuff. They're going to continue that. You can't run away from that, because during the period 2008 to 2013, they used that same playbook to get back into power. They were very effective during that period of time. They used that playbook, man, and they got back into power. But they were not dealing with an intelligent, focus-driven team. Remember, during 2008 to 2013, there was a lot of infighting, and a lot of those folks who were part of the government then, they were fighting down Uncle Tilly. They wanted power, and there was a lot of issues there. Instability, fighting, and then you had folks working to undermine the government and so on. There's a lot of, and there wasn't any program, talk show program, podcast and so on, defending the government, promoting what the government was doing, and all of these things. So it was a different situation during the previous NDC time. But now you're dealing with a group of young men and women who have one leader, and It's one team. And they are focused. They're working with a plan. And they have a vision for this country. And they're working on that every single day. They're united. The economy is stable. A lot of jobs, a lot of opportunities are being created for people. So many projects and programs and just name it. Opportunities are being created. So it's different. And then you have podcasters, not just Kim Jones. You have other podcasters, other talk show hosts, hostesses, other people who are defending government and promoting what the government is doing. So it's different now than before. During the period 2008, 2013, Uncle Tilly had to come out and say, you all have to defend the government and defend the party. In fact, he made that clarion call, and I remember pondering upon that. I remember pondering upon that at the time I was working at the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, right? And I appeared on TV, radio. We were, Jason Lyons and I, we were always out there in the media, you know, doing stuff, promoting stuff, pushing stuff, educating people on. So we were out there. And then I decided to go directly into podcasting, talk show, radio, and so on to help defend and promote and push the NDC. The NDC lost the election of 2013. And then by 2014, thereabout, I started talk show radio, right? Started to put things together and go out there and defend and promote and highlight what was taking place in the country, educating, empowering people, talking about the issues, unafraid, bold. You know, I got pre-action letters from Keith Mitchell, who was Prime Minister at the time, you know, and so on, and others who wanted to see my back. But I never give up because they wanted to sue me and sue and sue. So I'm accustomed to those things. But I never gave up. I stood firm. And I fight that good fight for many years. In fact, more than a decade. More than a decade I've been out here fighting that good fight. I saw NDC win. I saw NDC lose. But I never gave up. I still continue to fight. And that is what makes this gentleman the best in this business and the most trusted in this business. Because it's easy to be wrong when you win, when you're in government. But it's very hard to be wrong doing what I am doing when you lose 2013, you lose 2018, and then you win in 2022. But here it is. You lost in 2013 all seats. From 11 seats you had in government, you lost all the seats. 15-0 landslide. And I still remained. I never gave up. Then you lost in 2018, all 15 again. And I still didn't give up. I stayed focused, understanding it was a journey. It's long term. It's not medium term. Long term. So it was not just an overnight thing. And then in 2022, NDC won the election. The NNP never thought that they were going to win. They thought, well, they go win some seats, but they were not going to win the elections. That is what they thought. And the Grenadian people said, no, we are giving these young men and women a chance to transform Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. And look, Grenadians are not disappointed. We are happy with what the NDC administration continue to do. They're not perfect, but we are very, very happy. And I say to people, during Keith Mitchell's reign in power, there was a need for people like Kem Jones to be out there and doing what I, or doing the things that I did during that period. But you see, under the most Honorable Deacon Mitchell's reign, people like Jenny Simon, people like Sheldon Scott, people like, who are they again, bumping their gum? All of the people out there who bumping their gum and attacking here and saying X and saying Y, they become irrelevant. They just can't match up to a leader like that. Because see, he's not confrontational. He's not responding to them. He's not focused on what they say. But during Keith Mitchell time, it was different. Keith Mitchell is a melee man, in my belief. Every time I come out and say something, he come out to picong and back and forth. And, I used to respond when he had national address and what. It was just Kem Jones out there. People used to tune in just to hear what Kem Jones had to say. I would rebut what he said, right? They were not looking for a leader of NDC or whoever and what they had to say. No, what Kem Jones had. Never forget that moment and that period. Every time Keith Mitchell and NNP had this national address or this kind of thing, people tuned into what Kem Jones had to say. It was like I was the de facto leader at the time, but I was not looking for any leadership thing or any position in any. No, I knew my vocation. I knew what I was called to do. So during Keith Mitchell's era of politics, there was need for people like Kem Jones. But under the most Honorable Deacon Mitchell, this gentleman is different. This gentleman is focused on developing Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. And he doesn't care what Jenny Simon says or what Sheldon Scott says or what Royalty James says or what Ziggy, whatever it name, whatever the guy, whatever he says or whatever Francis Pay says, or who again, those opposition forces, those who've been talk. He doesn't care about that. He's not even responding to them. He's focused on developing Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. He's not even stopping to even worry about all of this nonsense. No. So he's making them irrelevant. So yes, they might have a podcast. Yes, they might be talking, but the audience is mixed. Because don't fool yourself. Jenny, for example, she does a weekly podcast, right? So she may get 8,000, 9,000 people viewing, but all of these people are not viewing because they like what she's saying. And all of these people are not NNP people. In fact, I told a friend, the majority of people who might be tuning in might be our supporters. Because our people are curious. They want to hear what she has to say. And nothing wrong with that. So she might be fooled into thinking that these 8,000 people are, she might be fooled into thinking that. But I said to folks, I had programs where 25,000 people will view me at one time, at one given program. I'm not just talking about, both programs. I do two programs. I do a morning program and I do a nightly program. There are people who would view me or who are actually viewing me now who will not tune in during the nighttime. And there are people who are going to tune in during the nighttime and not tune in during the morning time. And there are people who are going to listen to me on the radio and who will not listen to me on Facebook or YouTube. So I will speak to, for example, just a typical example. All right. On Facebook, and I like to kind of get the numbers. So on, during a morning time, a morning program, let me just look and see. Just giving you, I seldom even look at it. So, for example, the last 5 programs, that's just on Facebook, 8,003, 6,900, 7,900, 7,200, 8,900, 8,100, in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 programs, right? And there are programs 9,400, 9,100, 9,800, 9,000, 9,200, 9,300. There are programs, and that's just on Facebook. But you're talking about a morning program, and then you're talking about a nightly program. So one program may have 8,000 or 9,000 people viewing in the morning. And then on the same day, meaning the date, so a morning program and a night program. So during the nighttime, so morning, daytime, nighttime, right? You would have another 8,000, 9,000 people viewing me. So it's mixed. When you add that together, roughly 15 to 20,000 people, including those on the radio. So radio, Facebook, YouTube, because on YouTube are 3,000 something, and would view me on a daily basis. The day. All right? But I'm saying that's consistent. Very consistent. And that is what is important, consistency. But I know that it's a mixed listenership. You have people who support NNP, who support NDC, who in the middle, who don't support no party, but who just like to listen. And all right? But I remember during Keith Mitchell's time, during his period in power, when I would have 25,000 people viewing me in the morning and 25,000 people viewing me in the night. I remember those moments. And it was not just NDC people. You had NNP and NDC. But they want to listen, they want to hear what's going down. All right? So, but during that time, there was a need for a Kem Jones who will take on Keith Mitchell and the NNP. But now that Keith Mitchell is no longer relevant and, you have a new team of men and women in power with an intelligent leader, focused leader, smart, clever leader who has a vision. He's a visionary. He wants good for Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and he never stopped working, getting the job done. And he's not a melee man. He's not a confrontational, bacchanal man and beating TB. He's not that kind of person. So people like the Jennies and the Francis Pay and the Sheldon Scott, they become irrelevant. Because if you look at, let's say, what you call them? The NNP program, right? NNP program. If you look at the NNP program over, let's say, the last 10 shows, just as an example, all right? Just as an example, the last 10 shows. So you had, and I'm looking at YouTube, all right? So the last, let's say the last 5 or 6, just as I did a while ago telling you my numbers. So the show with Sheldon Scott, that's the main NNP show. On YouTube, 2,800 people viewed that show. 3,700 people viewed the one before. 4,700 people viewed the one before. 3,900 did the one before. And watch me, when I talk about 4,700 views, that's a town hall. It's a town hall. That's not his show. So let's go to his show. Let me go back again. His show itself. 2,800 people viewed that. Another 3,700 people viewed that. Another 3,900 people viewed that. Another 4,200 people viewed that. Another 3,000 people viewed that. Another 3,700 people viewed that. So his viewership is very low on YouTube and on it's even worse on Facebook because they stream that thing on Facebook and on YouTube, their program, right? So they do that on both ends. On both ends, they stream that. On Facebook, it's even worse. On Facebook, it's even worse in terms of numbers, right? They don't have a good Facebook viewership. So on Facebook, his last program, let me get it here. His last program on Facebook, 1,100. One before that, 516. The one before that, 865. Little numbers. 1,003, little numbers. That program gone to the dogs. All right. So then they're looking for, the NNP in particular is looking for a place where they can, go and become something. All right. So Jenny, she has a podcast, and a lot of those NNP supporters, they would tune in. And then you have NDC people who are curious. They want to hear what she's discussing. So her program, so she does a kind of once per week program. So it's not a daily program. So like the Sheldon Scott program, he does a nightly program. Jenny, she does a kind of once a week program. So she has to wait for the build up. So the viewership is a kind of whole week put together, which is different. I do twice per day. Sheldon does a one nightly thing, right? So her last program, 6,400 people. She has another program, 8,300 people. Another one, 9,200 people. Another one, 8. Another one, 6,009. So but it's a week thing. So you have to kind of understand how the viewership is, how the viewership will build up over time. It's a whole week. So it's kind of different. So if you break that down, because in terms of my programming, then you have to look at adding the whole week of programming. And then you divide it. And then you have to divide ours by a whole week. So it's different. All right? It's really different. But I'm saying, because we have a different leader who is focused, who is smart, well respected regionally and internationally, who people love, it's totally different. Totally different. And you can gauge that. You can gauge that by the numbers. And you look at Francis Pay, I think he's on Real FM. Francis Pay, I think he's on Real FM. All right. I think so. I think he does a thing on Real FM. Right? I don't know if it's a daily thing, but he's always on that that station doing his bit. But his numbers is very poor. 500 and something on Facebook, 500 and something, 400 and something, 600 and something people on Facebook. It's very, very poor. And on YouTube again, because you just have to look at the numbers and you realize Francis Pays on, so he does this kind of Real FM thing. And I think he's on Facebook too. And YouTube too, sorry. So he does a kind of thing there. 1,900 people, 1,600 people, 2,000 people, right? 2,000 people, 2,100 people view that. Very, very low, right? 2,000 people viewed that. Very, very low. He doesn't have a huge following. Doesn't have a huge following, right? I'm seeing, who's this guy on Real FM there? Is it, the person looks like, is it Tafawa Pair? I just happened to tune in on Facebook, on YouTube. Is this Tafawa Pair? I don't know. It looks like that guy, Emlyn Pair's husband. The person looks like him because Andre Donald strangely has been missing in action for a little while. I don't know the circumstances. I pray and hope that he's not sick, right? Because even if he might be on that other side, I pray and hope that he's not sick. And I pray and hope that he did not travel to the United States for any attention. I pray and hope that he's not sick. All right? I pray and hope that he's not sick. But, I don't know his circumstances. I don't know what happened to him, so I can't say. But I just pray and hope that nothing bad happened to him or so. But the person I see there appears to be Tafawa Pair on that Real FM thing, right? Stand to be corrected, but it appears to be that person. I don't know. Let me just see. Right? It's Tafawa. It's actually Tafawa Pair. But his numbers is also poor on YouTube. If he's the person doing that program there full time, his numbers is actually very poor. There is not impressive at all. So no matter who they send to do those programs, the numbers are very poor. Very, very poor. All right? Very, very poor. But it goes to show, because you see, you have a party and a group of men and women who are doing a fantastic job in government, who are working in the best interest of the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique, and who are focused. And that is why the NNP, they're having a problem with the diaspora. And when I talk about the NNP, I'm talking about NNP surrogates and pundits and so on. They have a problem with the amount of people in the diaspora who support the NDC and who support particularly the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell. They have a problem with that. Because remember, NNP once controlled the diaspora. And I say this on this program over and over. There was a period of time when the NNP controlled the diaspora, the narrative, the everything. They would run up to New York and have big town hall meetings and big events and all kind of stuff. But that's no longer the case. The table turned. So now the NDC, they're the ones who are controlling that. They're the ones who have the diaspora, and people are registering. People are registering. And I want to applaud all the folks who continue to register and who will participate come the next election. We have seen 6,908 persons or people getting registered or who got registered from the last election to now. That's unprecedented. That number is huge. We have never seen such a thing in the history of registration. After an election to the next, we have never seen such a thing. Never. So we have seen 6,908 people getting registered. So at this stage, we have 93,550, 93,566 people registered as of June the 30th, 2026. 93,000. And remember, in the last election, we had 86,658 people who were registered to vote. But we only saw 60,941 people voting in that election, the election of 2022. 25,717 people abstained, did not vote. Some died in the lead up to the election, so we agree on that. Some are Jehovah's Witnesses. Some migrated and couldn't come back to participate. So give and take, still a good 10 to 15,000 people were on island, registered, and just did not vote. Did not vote. They just didn't see the need to vote. So all you hear the NNP talking about their base and their base. If the NNP, who was in power, was doing well and performing well, why did 25,717 people did not vote? Why they didn't come out and vote for you? Because remember, the NDC was a new group of men and women, and they were virtually, or in reality, they were unknown. The Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell at the time, he was unknown politically. Most of the people who he put up as members of parliament or candidates, they were unknown. Unknown people. The people who the NNP ran, they were ministers of government and all kind of stuff like that. So why that 25,000 people? Or let's be realistic, why that 10 to 15,000 people did not vote for you? You were so this and you were so that, you were performing, you did this, you did that. Why they didn't go out and vote for you? Why? You see, sometimes we have to ask that question. We have to ask that question. And it's a very good question to ask. Because you're talking about 25,000 people abstaining from voting when you were in power back to back. For 15 seats. When you had all 15 seats in 2 elections. If you were performing so well, and if you did so well, why all of these people did not go out and support you? Because when a person votes, then they say, I like what you're doing. I am giving you another opportunity. So you have to understand all of this. All right? But these people, they were registered, but they did not go out and vote. And while NNP would say, well, they didn't vote for NDC, but the main reason why NDC didn't get the votes was because Deacon Mitchell was unknown to a lot of people. And the team of men and women that he put forward and who ran on the NDC ticket, they were unknown. They were not tried and tested. But now, the Grenadian people have seen what the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell is capable of and what his team is capable of. And that is where the real test comes in. And because they are performing well, the next election, we will have a high voter turnout. And it will favor the NDC in a big way. People are going to go out and vote to keep the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell in power and the NDC in power. They're going to go out in record numbers. People who didn't vote in the last election, but they were registered, they will go out and vote in record numbers to keep the Most Honorable Deacon Mitchell and his team in power, because they are now able to assess and evaluate them. And they've seen that they have performed well. They have done a fantastic job. And I challenged the NNP. I said to them, well, you were in power 2013 2018, the election was called in 2022. So you had 9 years or so to perform, and still you had 20-something thousand people not voting and not voting for you. Because it is fair to say that these people were not pleased with Keith Mitchell or the NNP at that time and their performance. It is fair to say that. And they did not see the need to go out and vote for them. But the NDC people went out in record numbers, and some of the people in the middle voted, and even one or two NNP, not much of them. And then you saw the NDC winning in a big way. In a big way. And there are some NNP supporters too, we could fairly say, who were not pleased with the NNP's performance. Yeah. There are some people like that, right? And we have to face it, who decided they were not pleased with Keith Mitchell and the NNP, even if they were NNP supporters and they just did not go out and vote. We have to be realistic. And they are not pleased with Emlyn Pe either, and her performance as opposition leader and leader of NNP. Don't fool yourself. You go around and you speak to NNP supporters, some of them who did not vote, and they're not pleased with her. She does not meet the standard or the grade. But folks, I am saying you can assess, you can evaluate now, because the most honorable Deacon Mitchell is no longer unknown. His men and women, the majority of them, they are no longer unknown. There might be some new candidates that they would put forward. But generally speaking, the leader and the team, they're not unknown. They've been tried and tested. So people can evaluate and assess them. All right? Folks, we have gone over the time by about 40 minutes this morning. But I want to encourage you, if you have not yet registered to vote, please do so. Register so you can participate in the elections. Carnival, this is carnival season. So there will be a cutoff point for our programming. All right? I am looking at the 5th of August. So hopefully between now and the 5th of August, I would wrap up the programming, and then I would continue after the carnival, because you have to give carnival some time. All right? So again, just saying it's my intention to wrap up for this period on the 5th of August. So again, just giving you a little heads up. Today's the 28th. So I'm giving you 11 and 5, 16 days. Noticed that I will wrap up the program on the 5th of August. All right, I think it's a Wednesday. Wednesday, I think so. The 5th of August. Yeah, it's actually a Wednesday. All right, and I think Carnival is the 11th and 12th or 10th and 11th, somewhere around there. Carnival. So again, just saying I will continue, because within now and August the 5th, I expect the NNP to attack and talk and throw out a lot of misinformation, knowing that the diaspora, a lot of people will be here for Carnival, to celebrate Carnival. All right? A lot of people are going to be here. So I expect that, and that is why I'm not wrapping up the program earlier. Normally, I would just wrap it up sometime in July, but I'm not doing that. I am going all the way to the 5th of August, because I may have to come back and debunk a lot of stuff, clarify a lot of stuff, defend government, defend ministers and so on. Because I expect, because around that time, the NNP tends to go rogue, right? Because visitors are here. They want to throw out a lot of misinformation and so out there. So the reason why I'm hanging on until That period is for that very reason. All right? So bear that in mind. So I'm going until the 5th of August.